5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Sofa Club is live.
And good evening. Yes, it's another Sofa Club by Peccadillo Pictures. And this is the last one. No, not the last one ever. This is the last one until after the summer break. My name is Berwyn Rowlands. I work for the Iris Prize. And I think I was more surprised than anybody to be invited back to do this last Sofa Club. And I think it probably might be the right opportunity to thank Team Peccadillo. I was going through the archive, and they've produced 16 sofa clubs during this pandemic period. And what's encouraging is obviously it's a lot of work, especially having to deal with people like me and filmmakers, because filmmakers can be a difficult breed. But what was really nice was realizing that an awful lot of people have been watching, and so that kind of suggests that there is an audience for talking about films and all of that. Anyway, have we saved the best till last? I hear at least one of you say. Obviously, because for the next 40 minutes, I'm going to be joined by the original Shiny Shrimp himself, Cédric Le Gallo. He's the co-writer, the co-director of the amazing The Shiny Shrimps, which I must admit, I only got to see 3 or 4 days ago, and I'm still buzzing, I'm still smiling, giggling, crying. Cedric, welcome. Croeso, as we say in some parts of Wales.
Hello.
Can we kick off straight away and water polo? Somebody mentioned, oh, he's gone in for a dip. No, he hasn't. There we are. Somebody, do you know what? We should have done this in the swimming pool. It would have been rather fun. But the last time I wore Speedos, anyway, that's another story altogether. Water polo. Somebody told me it's the national sport of France.
No, it's not. Nobody cares about water polo in France. It's very important in Italy and in Croatia where we shot, but in France it's not.
So what would you say is the national sport for the French? I know you try sometimes at rugby, but obviously, you know, you've got to compete against England and Wales, and Ireland. Little Scotland sometimes has a go as well. But what would you say is the national sport of France?
I guess it's football. Rugby is quite popular as well, but football is definitely the national sport now.
And would you say that football is also a competitive sport which includes lots of gay football players?
Well, 10% of the population is gay, so I guess there are some gay football players, but they just don't tell. So I encourage football players to tell they're gay as well, but I know it's hard to do. There is a lot of homophobia in sport, and especially in football. So we have to face it, and they have to tell it. But I know it's complicated, so I'm not in that situation, so I can't judge. But I would be happy that it's not an issue anymore.
Well, hopefully things are moving in the right direction. I'm going to talk during the next 30, 40 minutes about you, obviously.
Wow.
We're going to talk.
Interesting.
We're going to talk also about the film and the filmmaking process, and then we're also going to talk about the future. And I think this is a really good opportunity to remind people watching, if they've got any questions, fire away. I'm not quite sure how they do that, but it's by magic. They'll appear here on my little computer, and I'll ask some of the best ones. Just to say, obviously, if you're watching this on catch-up, that might be a bit difficult to ask a question, because technology is amazing, but it's not that amazing. It doesn't time travel. So now is the time to send in your questions. I've done an awful lot of research. Well, actually, I've spent half an hour on Google, and I was surprised because I saw the film first, and then I went, okay, let's see what he's done. So I wanted to see all of your films and the list of all the films that you've done. And this is really the first big one. So I must be honest, this is a compliment, by the way. This isn't one of those awful. I was really surprised that that such an accomplished film as a first film. You must be very proud.
Well, thank you very much. But I was not alone in this adventure. I have a co-writer and a co-director, Maxime Govard, who did like 2 movies before, and of course it was a long journey. It was hard, but at the end we are quite happy with the movie.
You some of the other stuff I discovered about you is that you're a TV reporter. Can I assume that your background as a TV reporter, that was a really useful way to get into the film world? Because stepping into the film world, there are people who spend, their time in university discovering the skills of how to become a filmmaker. So was your TV background a good thing?
Yeah, well, I used to be, but I was a TV reporter for 15 years. So I spent a lot of time on the field telling 500 stories. So it learns me how to tell a story in different kind of way, like in 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours. I did documentaries, I did live report, I did interviews, I did different kinds of stories. And of course it helped. Like, I don't know, I spent thousands of hours in editing rooms because I used to work for a weekly show in prime time. So yeah, it was very intense as well, and I learned a lot during this TV time.
Yeah, so it's kind of a good learning process. Were you a natural storyteller then? Were you the kid in school that was always telling stories, or did that sort of part of you develop much later?
Well, I was quite a lone kid when I was like, I don't know, 6, 7 years, because my parents used to work a lot. I have a very old sisters, like 20 years old more than me. So I create a lot of stories by myself when I was a kid. Like I create my own theater plays, and the set design and all the story and the characters. And at the end of the week, I did the show to my parents, and and I made them pay for that because, well, I think art should be rewarded. So I was a kind of businessman at this time as well. And so I tell stories since I'm a little kid. I'm not sure it was good, but I did it.
That sounds wonderful. Is there any chance that there's some footage of this in the family archive that might appear at some point?
Yeah, I think so, but you won't find the device to watch it.
So in the middle of this, prime time, high profile, was that the time you decided that you wanted to play water polo? What was the attraction? Were you, I'm assuming you must be a very good swimmer.
Well, it was completely by chance. Yes, I swim since I'm a kid. So I'm not very comfortable with sport. Well, I started doing a sport when I was 30, and it was water polo. And but yes, my parents teach me swimming when I was very young. But except this swimming thing, I was really scared about sport because I was quite traumatized by all the macho environment of the changing room at school. It was very like, if you're different, you're stigmatized. And I was different. I was a different kid. I don't know. I think I was weird, maybe a bit feminine. I don't know. I don't remember, but I remember I was different. And in this context, difference is not welcome. And when I pushed the door of the Shiny Shrimps, completely by chance, because a friend of mine told me, "Oh, I have these gay friends. You don't have gay friends much, so maybe it could be fun to meet gay people during a water polo training." So I was like, "Yeah, sure. I like water. I love that. So I'm looking for a sport. So let's do it."
Yeah.
But I didn't expect anything at this time, but I realized that in this changing room, difference is reward and difference is encouraged. And and they become my best friend. And actually, I'm at barbecue with the real shiny shrimps tonight. That's why I'm drinking a spritz, and the barbecue is just behind. And it was in fire 2 minutes ago, but because we're gay and we didn't manage very well to do the barbecue, so it was completely in fire. Like, and yeah, we are so gay sometimes. And
because you have, as in, just before we came on air, as it were, you were looking for something to eat, and you went looking for a sausage, and you came back without a sausage.
Exactly. So yeah.
Is that because they haven't been cooked?
Yeah. Well, I think now it's cooked, so I will get it later.
Can we just go back to the sports thing just for a second? As in, did you? Because I think a lot of my friends who are gay will say the same thing. Not all of them, because we do have very well-known openly gay rugby players and stuff in Wales. But there's that moment, isn't there, where the football lands at your feet, and somebody says, "Can you pass me back the ball?" I was always the person. I would never kick the ball back. I would pick it up and throw it. And I think I'm hoping that kind of response to the machiness of it is going to change, because in Cardiff, where we are, we have a gay football team, we have a gay rugby team. We don't actually, for some unknown reason, we don't have a gay water polo team. The politics, I think you've alluded to, football, rugby, and all of that. So here you are. You've already mentioned the diversity of the Shiny Shrimps. Do you want to kind of take us through the kinds of diversity there? Because I don't want to necessarily say that you've cast the same characters, but in the film itself, the diversity is quite dramatic. Was that you've already suggested, that was your experience with the real McCoy, as it were?
Yeah, well, in the real life, we are like 40 or 50 Shiny Shrimps. So we are much more than in the movie, because in the movie it's 10 people, but in the real life it's 40, 50. So of course it's not completely the real life, but because having 40 main characters is quite complicated to manage. So we have decided just to pick up 10 of them, and most of the characters are a mix of the real life Shiny Shrimps, including myself. And so there is not a character who is exactly the same than a real life Shiny Shrimps, but every character is a mix of different kinds of Shiny Shrimps facing different issues, having different body types, having different kind of works, different ages, different experiences. And myself, well, when I arrived in the club, I was like the very naive Vincent in the movie, who wants to be gay, and I was like that. I didn't have gay friends at that time, and when I was single, I was a bit Xavier, looking for having fuck all the time, and still actually. But I have a boyfriend now, and so now I'm more like Cedric, being in a relationship and dealing with that. So yeah, it's I think you can recognize yourself in at least one character, or even more, depending of your age. And
yeah, I think that's one of the delights of the film, actually, is, oh, that's so and so, and I was identifying people that I know. Oh, that's but I understand what you're saying. I can see the diversity. I can see. Well, actually, no, I can't see 50 Shiny Shrimps in one place. That does sound a bit overwhelming and quite exciting. But at what point, or was there a point? Was there a speedo moment where? Oh, sorry about that. Was there a speedo moment? Was there a point where you said, there is a film here, there is a story here, or was it more, I need to make a story out of these people? How did the actual story come about?
Well, because I used to be a TV reporter. I did also a short TV series, and I wanted to do a fiction movie. And with the Shiny Shrimps in the same times, I was living something so strong, but also something full of love, and it completely changed my life, because I didn't have any clue about homosexuality before, because I'm 38, nearly 39. Well, in 7 days, so I can't say I'm 39. And And when I was a kid, a teenager, even a young adult, I didn't have any TV series or movie with positive characters to let me think, okay, it could be great to be gay. I could have fun. I could have a great job. It could be nice with my family, because all the movie were about HIV, about dealing with families issues, prostitutions, drugs, stuff like that. So I wanted to do a kind of Friends, like the TV series I loved when I was a teenager, but with my real friends and with the Shiny Shrimps, we are living so much crazy stuff. And the movie show only 5% of what we live, because we're living like crazy tournaments, crazy parties, crazy stories, crazy sex stories, crazy friendship stories. So, and with so colorful and brightful characters that okay, this is a movie I have to tell.
Cool. I'm kind of tempted to spend more time talking about your past as well, because I find it quite fascinating that somebody can be in their 30s and discovering they need to do a little bit more, or they need more gay friends. But I've been told that we really should focus on the film. So maybe we can talk at another point in the future. But if we can sort of now move to the process of making the film. And, I made a few. I think it's the scariest. It's possibly the most lonely experience on the planet. But how easy did you find the experience? Did you enjoy every second, or was it the usual, oh my God, why have I done this?
Well, it was hard at some point, because we had very few preparation, because we had the green light very late. So we had only 2 weeks of preparation, which is really short. So, but we were 2 directors, so it helped a lot, because at some points Maxime did something, I did something else. We took all the decisions together, but in a way, being 2 directors doubled the time. And we were running out the time all the time, because it was so short and it was so complicated having 10 main characters on the set. Shooting in the warrior environment was super hard. Filming in a bus, driving on real road, because it's not like green stuff. It's like we just shooting the road trip for real. So all that was super complicated, and we didn't sleep a lot, like maybe 4 hours a day during 2 months. So
yeah. It was. And how long was the shoot itself then?
I think it was 32 days,
okay.
Spread on 2 months.
Whoa, there's I don't want to sort of flirt with you at all, but you look quite fit, and I'm assuming, you've got your story, you've had your green lights. Did you have some of the actors in mind for some of the characters in the film, or were you also desperately looking for actors who could swim and who could potentially give a convincing water polo demonstration in a swimming pool?
Well, yeah, it was quite hard to imagine some characters, some actors, because maybe in the US, we said to the casting director, it's a kind of Bradley Cooper, but a bit younger, and stuff like that. Because in France, we didn't want to have famous actors on this movie, because finding 10 famous actors is super complicated, almost impossible. And famous actors playing gays, but they're straight, and everybody knows they're straight because their life is quite public. Or having like half people famous, half people unfamous would be weird as well. So we have decided to have non-famous actors. Well, some of them are a bit famous because some of them play on TV series, some of them play on internet stuff, some of them play theater. So they are not nobody. They have
Yeah.
experiences. But for some of them, like Romain Bro is a cabaret performer, and he used to be a costume designer. So this experience was completely new for him. And so it was. We didn't imagine a lot in advance. We have some ideas, but we did like a 1 year cast. It was a long process.
It took okay. So obviously, some of the cast decisions were made before the 2-week green light.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
We've
before the shooting, we had the casting. Yeah.
We've had some questions coming in, which I think it might be appropriate to ask some of them now. Gav wants to know, how did you train the cast to play water polo? You know, did it come quite quickly, or is this a matter of filming, so it's all in the edit?
Well, no, we were lucky enough to bring the cast to the real Shiny Shrimps trainings. So the actors train with the Shiny Shrimps, but also they train separately. Like they did some swimming sessions. They also had some water polo training in very small sessions, just them. And they also train with the real Shiny Shrimps. So it was a very intense training. And they are still bad, actually. And they suffered a lot during the shooting because you can, even when you are in pose, you have to swim just to stay at the surface. So even a pose during a water polo game is work. So yeah, it was very hard for them as well.
I think Paul, well, actually, he's going to make you anyway go back to shooting the film, and he wants to know specifically, how long did it take you to set up the long shot of the winning point at the tryout game? Did that take a long time?
Which one?
He's talking about the winning point. He says, how long did it take you to set up the long shot of the winning points at the tryout games? It's the big finale.
Well, this one's the most complicated. We start shooting it and it was the first week of the shooting in Croatia, and we had the location. We were supposed to have the location for 4 or 5 days, and because they had a special event, we only had it for 2 days. So It was super hard, and also during the final, a very big storm arrived on the set, so it was raining like a lot. But sometimes you can't see the rain, even if it's raining. So we were still shooting with the rain. But at some point, the creation crew, we used to work with American crews who are very strict, and we are French, so we are not strict at all with rules. So we wanted to shoot still, and they stopped us. And we have to wait till 2 a.m. in the morning to finish the shoot. It was not really finished. So at the end of the shooting, we went back to Croatia to do some extra close-up on the faces because we didn't have enough material. So that was the most difficult thing of the shooting.
Did you, considering all of this, and I know, and you've obviously mentioned you had somebody, you were directing with somebody else. Did you at any point think that you should be actually in front of the camera as well?
You mean playing in front of the camera?
Yeah. Because obviously I've seen your name. Your name is one of the characters. So could Cedric have played Cedric?
Well, yes. When we were in the writing process, I was thinking maybe I should play one of the characters. That's why the character of Cedric is called Cedric, because I was supposed to play this character. But at some point, we realized that, okay, if I play this character, I won't be never behind the camera. I would be always in front of it, even if I don't have anything to say. But because it's most of the time, the 10 main characters are in front of the camera, even if it's just in the back. So if I would have played this character or any character, I couldn't have direct. And my main goal was to have a global vision of the movie was more important than please myself with playing.
We're going to move on now to distribution and finish the film. And before I go into my questions, we've got some better questions here. Liam wants to know, what did the real shrimps think of the film?
Oh, they ate it. No. They saw it for the very first time during a film festival in France, which is quite famous, Alpe d'Huez Film Festival, which is a comedy film festival. And they came to the festival. So I think 30 of them came with the shiny jackets. And it was a lot of emotion because all the poor were there, the real audience, the shiny shrimps. And after the movie, they were crying and smiling, and they were super happy. And I didn't want to betray them. So at the end of the movie, some of them told me, well, no, I can't die peacefully because I know there is a choreo ready for my funeral. And so this is all the spirit of the shiny shrimps.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds wonderful. Yeah, and I guess they realised that they had complete trust in you and you didn't let them down.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this is a relevant question. Max wants to know, how do you get an invite to the party? I think we will leave that there just in case we get into trouble. Ralph, I will have an answer to your question, but we're going to keep that till the end. So we'll come back to Ralph a little bit later. The film, again, from the research I've done, was a huge success in France. And was that unusual? Because I wasn't quite sure whether the film, and please take this in the right way, whether the film would be seen as a strange, quirky LGBT art house offering, or would it be seen as a mainstream comedy? And well, do you want to take us through the journey? Because it was hugely successful, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. But actually, nobody knew, including Universal with a French distributor, the producer. At some point, they thought it was maybe only for gay people. And we didn't have comedy in France about gay people till 25 years. It was Pédale douce, it was a very successful movie. So there was no reason why we didn't do a gay comedy before The Shiny Shrimps. And so, yeah, it's. I think it was a big surprise for most of the people. But when we watched the project, well, I wanted to share this movie with as many as people as I could imagine. So I didn't want to do this movie only for 25 people. You know, I wanted to share it, this experience. I wanted to show to the world my friendship story. But it was a surprise.
You say it was a surprise. I quite like that because that suggests you're quite a modest person as well. But at what point then did you know, oh my God, this is really special? Was there a screening? Was there a festival? At what point did you move from, I have no idea, to thousands, tens and hundreds of thousands of people?
The first, the festival I talked about, the Alpe d'Huez Film Festival, was huge. Because at this time we didn't know at all what's gonna happen with this movie, and it's also interesting because this audience, it was a Saturday morning at 11 a.m. So it was mostly families and old people. And the shiny shrimps, and we had like a 10 minutes standing ovation with this very unexpected crowd. So at this time we said, okay, something is happening. And also a very different kind of people talked to us at the end of the screening saying, oh my God, we love the movie, and including 80 years old lady telling us, oh my God, it's like with my friends. And well, even if I think I have a completely different life with my friends, but apparently they recognize themselves in the message of freedom and friendship. And so at this time, say, okay, apparently non-gay, non-LGBT people seem to recognize themselves in this movie. So we'll see, but it's good for the future.
Yeah. Well, no, there's the universality of the stories. Relationships, children, all of that. It's all in there, isn't it? Which we can share with everybody, really. I must be honest. I'm always disappointed about the Brits generally. I just wish we had a better attitude to subtitles, because when I saw the film, I just thought of so many people who I know have this, aversion to subtitles, and they should just really, really enjoy it. But there we go. Things might change. There is a little bit to me that kind of hopes that there won't be an American remake of it, but maybe we could talk about that at some other stage.
With Ryan would be perfect.
But have you, sort of staying with France before we sort of travel the world a bit, do you think the film has kind of opened doors for other LGBT stories to be treated in a mainstream, way, with proper budgets, proper release strategies? I say this, and I'm referring to a world pre-COVID, but let's assume there will be some normality at some point. But do you think you've changed the landscape back in France?
Well, I hope so, because now any producer can say LGBT story won't work, because you have now an example. So I think it's good. But I think also it's kind of tricky to tell LGBT story. I think you have to be LGBT yourself, I guess, because it's so personal, it's so intimate, and including in the LGBT community, sometimes we don't agree each other about maybe we should tell that in that way, maybe we shouldn't, maybe this issue is important, no, it's not interesting. So we have this kind of big debates inside the community. So I think if you're a completely outsider, you can't tell LGBT story. So it's important that this kind of story will be brought by LGBT people and not by people who just want to make money, thinking, oh, okay, LGBT stories could be viable. So
yeah, it's and also it's the nature of the story is that it's global, and I think we've already mentioned it's sold to 21 countries. Have you actually finished your global journey yet? Because I think didn't the film open a couple of weeks ago in Italy?
Yeah, exactly. It was in Italy like 2 weeks ago. It's still, actually.
Yeah.
And well, it was supposed to come out in Japan in July, but it's because of the COVID, it was postponed till next July. So it's a never-ending journey, apparently.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're still in promotion of the Shiny Shrimps.
I was going to say, have you actually been traveling? Have you been able to visit, add a few stamps to your passport?
Yeah, yeah. We did a 3-month tour in France first. We did many different festivals, including like the Festival of Thierry Frémaux, which is in Lyon, and it was great to have also a standing ovation in this festival, which is like very intellectual and very chic. And we did some LGBT film festival in France, but also all around the world. I was in Los Angeles in the Chinese theater to screen the movie. So I was in Australia as well with my team, because we had a tournament in Melbourne, and we did a screening in Sydney and Melbourne. And it was nice to have my Shiny Shrimps on my side during this screening as well. So yeah, it was it was a long journey, but very interesting, meeting a lot of people and talking about these issues. And yeah, I couldn't imagine something better.
I know your job isn't necessarily to analyze the audience and their response, but having seen the film with audiences in different countries, could you identify, you don't have to name the countries, but could you identify a subtle different response in some countries? Or was it the belly laughs? Was it the crying? Was it the sort of the core sort of animal instincts just coming out of people?
Well, there are not so much differences. They laugh and they cry at the same times, but sometimes there are some little differences. I remember I was in Kiev, and in Kiev, in the old country actually, they have to face very complicated political issues. And when the character of Joel in The Shiny Shrimps tell democracy was fine when not stupid people voted, he says something like that. And at this time, the audience laugh a lot, including applause, and they're like completely hysterical about this dialogue, because at this time they were facing political issues. So, but it's nice also because there is a Céline Dion hit in the middle of the movie, during the duet. It's Céline Dion and Garou, which is a Canadian singer, but they sing in French. So, of course, it's a very famous song in France and in all the French-speaking countries. But I think it's not so famous in English-speaking countries. But Céline Dion is big. So it's nice to see the crowd thinking, is it Céline Dion? Yeah, it's Céline Dion. No, I'm not thinking it, but it's Céline Dion.
We've got a few more questions that have come in. I think I massacred Paul's original question, and I've had some clarification here. Basically, he was complimenting the filming and the skills of the filming. And the scene he was on specifically, it's about midway, and it's where the camera follows the ball from player to player to player. And very, very impressed with that. So was that the one that took a lot of time?
Actually, not so much, because that time, I don't know, something magical happened, and they did it. And but we did a choreography before, like, okay, you have to pass it to this one, and then pass it to this one, and then put it back in the middle, and blah 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 blah. And maybe we did like 3 times, so it worked. And
wow.
Sometimes magical things happen.
Yeah, so Paul, I apologize profoundly for destroying your original question, but I think that's a lovely answer, that it was the magic of the moment. And I also think it's probably something to do with the directors as well.
Yeah, of course.
Alexandros wants to know, when did Universal get involved, and how supportive were they?
Oh, very supportive. Very supportive. Without them, we couldn't have done the movie. Well, the producer I met truly believed in the movie and in the story, and he really fight for the movie, and he was very close to the Universal French director, so he sent him to the script, and I think also the French director of Universal, Xavier Albert, one of his best friends is gay, and I think he felt like having a mission to tell and to support a gay story, because one of his best friends is gay, and he realized there is nothing for gay people. We don't tell gay stories so much in France. So for him, it was a kind of mission, like, I have to do it, and he was really supportive.
One more question. Rebecca C. Rebecca, now that you've done one film, made a feature film, is there anything specific that you will take to the next film and you would do differently?
Oh,
wow, that's a difficult one.
And can I speak during 2 hours?
We could come back to that one. That's quite a difficult one.
Okay, I know what I can tell.
Okay. You could tell it now then.
I talk too much, including during this interview. I talk too much. I know I talk too much in my everyday life all the time, and I learned that during on a movie set, especially when you run out of time, you can't talk so much. Like, and also because I want to be sure to be understood, so I repeat the same sentences in different ways all the time to be sure as a crew understood what I want and what I was saying. And my co-director Maxime told me, "You talk too much. You have to do short sentences because you talk too much." And so next time,
less talking.
I will be very, very careful about talking.
We are just about to run out of time. I can't believe it's gone so quickly, but I can't let you go without asking the question that a couple of people actually, Ralph wanted to know this question. I want to know this question. It's not a question really, it's an instruction about Shiny Shrimps 2. You have to make a sequel. And please tell me now, are you making a sequel?
Yes, we're making a sequel, and the script is already written, so we're gonna shoot next year, hopefully. But I can't tell you what it is about. But it's gonna be a new adventure, and with Maxime and Romain, which is the third co-writer I work with. We were very concerned about keeping the DNA of the Shiny Shrimps, but telling a new story, like to surprise the people with a completely new adventure, and not to do the same movie, because otherwise just watch the Shiny Shrimps again. So well, I hope people will like it as much as they like the first one.
Cedric, what can I say? It's been a pleasure. I know you're with the party. You were looking for food before we started, so I think I should let you go and enjoy the barbecue. And sorry, thank you very, very much for joining us on this warm summer evening. And best wishes with the next chapter of the Shiny Shrimps. Just make sure that there might be a small role for a 53-year-old overweight Welshman, if you can. That would be much appreciated.
All the stories about that.
Thank you. And there we are. That's it. Thank you to everybody associated with Peccadillo Sofa Club. The sofa, I've been told, is being rested over the summer. It'll be back later this year. But whatever you do for the rest of the summer, be safe. Goodbye.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.